my friends, we're continuing to talk about Project Blue Beam. The blue shirt wasn't intended. In the previous video, we talked about a person named Serge Monast, who was supposedly the first one who started to publicly talk about Project Blue Beam. If you are here watching this video, I suppose you've seen that video. If not, I do suggest you watch that because things make sense only if they are watched in a proper sequence. That being said, there's a link down in the description. Watch it if you haven't. Today's episode, and I believe also the following one, because it's going to be series, will be dedicated to the Project Blue Beam itself. So what is the main purpose? How is it going to be implemented? And many other interesting stuff related to it. Also important note that this is how Serge Monast put it. It's not my own words, although throughout the video you're gonna hear my own thoughts, my own opinions, and I think it's just normal. I mean, you will also have your own opinion about that. That being said, welcome to part 2. So let's start. So in the first episode, I already mentioned that Serge Monast founded an independent press agency that allowed him to talk about his ideas, about conspiracy theories, and his thoughts about what's going to happen in the future. And let me tell you this, many of the things that he's talking about, in my opinion, are already happening and or just makes sense at this moment. So this agency positioned themselves as, I quote, not a religious group, nor is it a political organization, but an independent worldwide investigative press agency in the field of politics, economics, medical, and military. We specialize in investigating and publishing special reports and audio tapes to expose the underworld of the United Nations conspiracy to implement a new world order. End of quote. So he mentioned some tapes. I just wonder, where did he publish those? Because I think those would be very interesting. By means of these publications, Serge Monast wanted to show people that this plan to create New World Order is not a wild dream, not something imagined. It's something real that is ongoing, and he compared it to a satanic project. Before we start to look into Project Blue Beam itself, we have to also figure out what is this New World Order, because I mean, it's part of all of it. In short, there are a couple of things that are allegedly on the agenda of the creation of the New World Order. Particularly, there are 4 stages of implementation, and we're going to briefly look into those. I mean, you can make a separate video about each of these points, but we're just going to talk in brief so you get the idea. Step number 1 is to abolish all Christian traditional religions and substitute them with one religion that is based on a cult of a man. And this is also the part where they're gonna introduce a Messiah or an Antichrist. Step number 2, to abolish all national identity and pride. That's gonna be substituted with one identity and pride, like one world identity and pride. Step number 3 is to abolish family as we perceive and know it today and substitute it with individuals that are working for the glory of the New World Government. And lastly, number 4, to destroy all artistic and scientific creativity to create one world government, one world mindset. In short, the world will become this gray mass with individuals that can be easily controlled, manipulated, that will do whatever this new fucking world order and new fucking world government will ask. Now that we have understood that part, we have to understand what is the role of Project Blue Beam in this new world order implementation. So first of all, Monast in his book said that it was planned to launch Project Blue Beam in the year 1983, but it didn't happen. Monast mentioned that he didn't know the reason why it didn't happen, but what he knew, according to him, he knew that the people were still continuing to work on Project Blue Beam after this failed launching in 1983, and they were making this project even stronger by means of technologies, science, and scientists, and whatever necessary. So at this point, this project has been developed, improved, and become more dangerous for people like you and me. And there is no doubt that behind this project, there must be people who have a lot of money, a lot of influence, and they have access to different tools and technologies, and maybe themselves, they are really smart with technologies. And I don't know why, but I think Bill Gates just ticks all of the boxes as a candidate for a person behind this project. I'm not accusing anyone. I'm just like thinking out loud. I remember when I was a kid and I learned who Bill Gates was, and I thought like, wow, I admire him. He's so smart. He's so talented, and he's so successful. And now I'm thinking like, he's the most dangerous person in the world. Like, did you know that he's buying out all the farmlands? Yeah. And I think the plan behind this might be to kind of take away all the possibilities for normal people to grow their own food, to have their livestock and like be independent from the government. So if they take away all the farmland and buy it out, then they will be dependent from the government. And also, let's not forget the story about the pandemic and Bill Gates. And did you guys know that the next pandemic is set to happen in the year 2025? Yeah, check out some information out there, because Bill Gates has been talking about it, just like he talked about the first COVID pandemic before it actually happened. Anyways, back to New World Order and Project Blue Beam. Monast in his book said that the United Nations are already working and functioning according to this New World Order rules, and that this Project Blue Beam is of high importance in this implementation process. I can say like they consider it as a cherry on a cupcake, like the grand finale of everything, because this is gonna put the full stop of the life as it is right now with us guys. We're screwed. And also he mentioned that NASA is of high importance for this implementation of Project Blue Beam. As I mentioned before, one of the implementation points for this New World Order is also the creation of this one religion with the Antichrist as a leader of all of this. And Monast said, I quote, "We must remember that the New Age religion is the very foundation for the New World government, without which the dictatorship of the New World Order is completely impossible. I'll repeat that. Without a universal belief in the New Age religion, the success of the New World Order will be impossible. That is why the Blue Beam project is so important to them, but has been so well hidden until now." The thing that was like into my mind all the time when I was reading about this New World religion is that if a person is really religious, I mean, I know a lot of people who are dedicated Orthodox, who are dedicated Catholics, some even like Buddhists and stuff, Muslims. If you are dedicated to your religion, it's really hard to persuade that person to leave the religion, because for them, religion is their life. It's their purpose of life. I believe that the team New World Order really understood that that's a huge problem that they have to solve, and they found a way how to solve it, according to Serge Monast. And we will get to that, because now we will be looking into 4 stages of implementation of Project Blue Beam that will also include a thing which is kind of mind-blowing and which, according to Serge Monast, will break all of the minds of the religious people out there in the world. Step number 1. Engineered earthquakes and hoaxed discoveries. So the first step of NASA Project Blue Beam will be the re-evaluation of archaeological discoveries, specifically those ones that are related to religions. So they will create earthquakes in certain points of the world, and these earthquakes will allow scientists to rediscover something that will discredit fundamental religious beliefs. Well, earthquakes are happening lately quite a lot, and if we consider what Monast said, that the people involved in this New World Order are already experimenting with us, and it's no longer a secret that the most influential countries already have the technologies that allow them to initiate artificial earthquakes. So who knows, maybe those earthquakes that happened in Turkey were not really natural. Now, as I said, there's going to be an artificial earthquake, and scientists, archaeologists will discover something that will completely discredit anything related to religious. And Monast specifically stressed that they want to remove all of the religions, Christianity, Muslims, anything that is like happening and anything that the people are believing in this world. And this newly discovered evidence will help people to understand that all of the stuff that they have believed before has been completely misunderstood. According to Monast, it's all gonna be about making people understand that the new religion is the right one, because up to nowadays, all the religions are divided, but the real religion is something that will unite everyone together. So please join us. Please follow this one religion. Not that we will have any choice, we'll just have to follow it. And bear in mind, my sarcasm and quite dark humor, it just comes from a fear, because at the back of my mind, I understand that this sounds crazy, but if it's true, I'm just scared, and when I'm scared, I'm just joking around. So that's just me. Don't come after me. Now we exhale, breathe in, breathe out. Step number 2 of NASA Project Bluebeam implementation is called the Big Space Show in the Sky. So this second step involves a gigantic space show with 3-dimensional optical holograms and sounds, laser projections of multiple holographic images to different parts of the world. And what is interesting, according to Serge Monast, each part of the world will see different holograms and sky shows and laser shows. And it will be according to the dominant religion of that part of the world. So if you are a Buddhist, you're most definitely going to see Buddha. If you are a Christian, most probably you're going to see Jesus Christ. You know where this is going. As Monast put it, all of these holograms are going to speak all the languages of the world just so that they can talk to the specific people of the specific part of the world. So when it's gonna happen, allegedly, when it's gonna happen here in Norway, that thing is gonna snakke norsk. If it's gonna go to Russia, тогда будем говорить по-русски. And if it's gonna happen in Latvia, tad runāsim latviski, etc., etc. And Monast also mentioned this interesting thing that during the Soviet times, well, there were already people who were into this New World Order movement in the Soviet times. And those guys in the Soviet Union were working on computers, on computer programs that integrated all of the languages of the world, including dialects. The Soviets have perfected an advanced computer and fed it with the minute physio-psychological particulars based on their studies of the anatomy and electromechanical composition of the human body and the studies of the electrical, chemical, and biological properties of the human brain. In short, it's some kind of program or computer that will allow those guys, the New World Order team, to manipulate with us more easily. Now back to the sky shows. That's the most interesting part in my opinion. So there are gonna be 2 types of sky shows from this Project Bluebeam. The first one will make us believe that the world is ending, basically world end. And the second show is gonna show the arrival of Antichrist, Messiah, call it whatever. And everyone's just gonna be saved and blindly following this new thing that will represent new religion. And here we are, New World Order. It's here. This is how it's gonna happen. I'm gonna cry. As I said, NASA is involved, hence all of these holograms and laser shows will be done by them. And this will be projected to the Earth from some laser-generating satellites. What is more interesting, Monast said that all of the technology for these holograms and laser projections are being tested all the time on us here on Earth, and we see all of those tests in the form of UFOs that are visiting us. So what he's saying is that the UFOs that we have been seeing, all of these sightings, all of those are simply projections in the sky because they are testing their Project Bluebeam. And I'm just not talking about those like crashes that have fallen on the ground and they have those samples. I do believe that there are also things like that, but sometimes there are some weird lights in the sky and you don't understand what it is. This might be just testing, Project Blue Beam. Yes, thank you, it works. And maybe the fact that the governments are now acknowledging that the UFOs are actually visiting us and what we're seeing in the sky are UFOs is just a part of this implementation plan, because now they can say, yes, we saw them and they are endangering us and we don't know what to do about them. They'll just keep flying and attacking. And when the real time comes to create this fake world end, they can say, yes, they had already started to come a couple of years ago and now they're coming for real. It's the Independence Day. It's really as it's like in the movie, Maybe the world end will be actually like an attack from the aliens that we're gonna see in the sky, and people will just get crazy and panicky. And then at one point the Messiah comes, the Antichrist comes and saves all of it. Oh, I can imagine what a show it's gonna be in the sky. And as Monast said it, after all of this will happen and this Messiah will appear, even the most educated will be deceived. This is how good this show is gonna be. In fact, the Antichrist will be the one who will explain that the various scriptures have been misunderstood and misinterpreted, and that the religions of old are responsible for turning brother against brother and nation against nation. Therefore, old religions must be abolished to make way for the new age, new world religion, representing one God, Antichrist, they see before them. Not really sure where did Monast get this information, but I'm just gonna tell it because it's like a little bit ridiculous. He said that United Nations have already planned to introduce Beethoven's Song of Joy as the anthem for the New World Order and the New World Religion. Simply ridiculous. And also he said that some kind of hypnosis is gonna be also involved in this process. It's gonna prevent people to rationally think, and they will not even notice that their brain is being worked upon. So I guess they're gonna be hypnotized and they're just gonna welcome whatever is happening with an open arms. And this brings us to the most heavy stuff. So the third implementation stage, that is called artificial thought and communication. Basically, Project Blue Beam goes along with hypnosis, telepathic stuff, and electronically augmented two-way communication, where specific waves will reach a person from their own mind, and they're gonna feel like their own God is speaking from within themselves. So these waves will come from the satellites, and again, here we see where NASA can be involved. As I mentioned before, Monast said that there are some really smart computers that have the storage of all the languages of the world, including dialects. But he also says that these computers not only have the languages, but also have information about each human that lives on planet Earth. And this sounds really crazy. I mean, I can't believe that it's happening because, even now when we go on social media or a computer, we know that they see everything, they know everything. We have to be careful. We have to live in the woods without phones and computers if we really want to be independent. But as it appears, I guess in some way, according to Monast, they already know everything about that and are collecting information about us each and every day, each and every second. So if you're recording, I'm sharing the truth with the people, Monast mentions that this communications equipment depends upon a completely new way of looking at the human brain and neuromuscular systems and radiation pulses at ultra-low frequencies. Some of this equipment is now operational within the Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, and of course, Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI. Okay, if this is true, what Monast is saying, that it is mind-blowing, mind-fucking, and whatever you call it, this means that if it's true, then in the future they will be able to plant in our brain whatever they want, just so that we live according to the New World Order. But first, They need us to panic. They need us to be scared AF to the level that we are ready to accept everything, even the new Antichrist and the Sky Show. And it just got me thinking, like, maybe there will be some people who will manage to escape all of this and still will not be brainwashed. And what will happen to those people? Like, even if we look at the Hollywood movies where the world ends, there are still some people who manage to escape all of this. And for these situations, according to Monast, they also have found a solution. They're gonna make, he was specific, the United Nations gonna make specific camps for these people. And I quote, to make sure that anyone with this antisocial behavior will be disposed quickly so that other modified individuals will be able to fulfill the needs and agendas of the New World Order without being distracted by the truth, whatever the truth is. So, it's quite heavy stuff, to be honest. I think I'm gonna put a full stop right here, because from one side, I believe like this sounds like a movie, and I don't believe that even if it's true, it's gonna happen very soon. But then again, there are a lot of people who make good points saying that it's actually gonna happen very soon, especially those who believe to that I'm a little bit also convinced, and I don't know, like my mind is just a trash at this moment. This is interesting stuff. I will not deny it. And we have to keep our minds open. We have to look a little bit deeper than we are allowed to see. And we have to always do our own research. So please stay with me. We still have to cover the 4th stage of Project Bluebeam implementation. We still gonna discuss the facts that Serge Monast is mentioning in his works, the sources that he is referring to, and also many other things related to Project Bluebeam. And I hope you will stick around. Do appreciate my work with your likes. Write down your comments and thoughts. Subscribe for more. When we're gonna finish Project Bluebeam, I have a plan to do another exciting research. So I hope you're gonna stick around. This just makes you appreciate that you're alive and you have the liberty to do a lot of things and choose a lot of things, you know. So I will end with the quote from Serge Monast. I ask everyone who reads the following descriptions not to be paralyzed by the natural fears, but to spread to everyone the contents of this special report and to gather together in order to commune, to think and organize ways to survive the New World Order government. Because what we have to understand is that the New World Government will not be something permanent, immortal. This is not the case. But what we have to do right now is learn how to organize to survive such satanic plans. That being said, see you next time!